Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Eli Nishmas Mordechai live from Chicago, from Chodorov. Shkoyach to the Rov, Shkoyach to the Gaboim. Thank you for coming. Ezra Hashem, Divrik, Torah Tzirchim Chizuk. We're going to get more and more people to the people that actually are part of this year, that come to the live share. Ezra Hashem. So the last few days we didn't really have emails because we were doing the sugyas of the Churban, and we'll try to make some of them up. But because I was traveling today, so we only have two emails, two short ones. Here's a video. I thought it was a Givaldic video. I forgot the guy's name though, unfortunately. I didn't have time to put that in, but I just put the video in. Okay, sorry, no volume. Basically, this kid was watching the shir without his father knowing, and he was saying good morning, Rabbi to himself. Okay, next. Rebelli. I'm a new member of the shir, start with Gittin. More on that below if you want to hear why. More importantly, first of all, I appreciate that you want to minimize the joyful character of the shir during the 3 weeks. It's appropriate, but I don't think you should call it litzonos. Calling it that, I said that I'm going to take out the litzonos. Yeah, I misspoke. He's right. Not litzonos. But milsa bichusa, simcha, calling it that minimizes the true character of the shir, which is simcha achdus and having fun while learning. But it's not litzonos. 2, you mentioned on Wednesday that a kidney donor told you he was in terrible pain for 2 weeks. The kids are saying he's a kidney donor and I only had pain for 2 days. I wasn't trying to scare people away from it. I was trying to say what a tzaddik or tzaddikim these people are, that they donate kidneys, even though they know that they're in for a little treat afterwards. Sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes it's 3 days, sometimes it's a week, 2 weeks. That shouldn't take away from the, somebody that's donating the kidneys, not so worried about a little bit of pain afterwards, but it just goes to show the selflessness that these people have. But chas v'shalom, to scare people away. I actually started in December, Benedarim, when my father passed away. At the Shiva, Rabbi Yisrael Kamenetsky, the Shiva of DRS, told me that when we were sitting Shiva, someone told him the shot behind the way, we say, Hamakim Menachem Eschem. That's like Hamakim Mimala, the Nifter, providing a Chama and Shama, that it's Hamakim, that the place should be fulfilled. Or filled. So anyways, his father's in the middle of doing the darim, so he decided to finish it off for him, to be mala the makim of him, and that's why he started with the darim, but then he got hooked, and here he is, all the way in Gittin. So, even though he thought in the beginning he couldn't find the time to add the daf to his schedule, but as you know, as it goes, he got hooked, and he realized he does have the time. Looking forward to participating in person soon. Moshe Banda from Woodmere, New York. I always tell people that are coming out of Shiva that it's always a great thing to start the daf. Shkoyach dak. The koil is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. Shalom Esther Razbela. The koil is sponsored. Nishmas Chaim Moshe. Nishmas Moshe. The koil of the day. Parnassa Pinchas. Clear copper. Eli Nishmas, Avi Meiris of Shmuel ben Rav Yosef Mishal on his 4th yard side from all his children. The Shlomo should have an aliyah, the Vesechta, sponsored by Moshe Banda, to thank Hashem that I'm able to thank Him for everything that I have. Parnassa last day, Jeff Rosner, Eli Nishmas, his 17-year-old son, Shiva Bacher, Yosef Simcha Chaim, and Shlomo Yehuda. Parnassa Lebovic families, Lakewood New Jersey, because torah and achdus are the best segula. Parnassa Chodesh, the Nishmas Chaim bas Yosef. Parnassa Hayim. Yosef, Ezra for Parnassa and Shalom bies. Parnassa Hayim, Daniel Benreuven. For Shlomo, Didi Ayakar, Moshe Yeshua ben Chaya Elka. Moshe Yeshua ben Chaya Elka. Okay. In the art of the month, for complete lerphoah for Chaim Tzvi ben Leah. So let's jump right into it. Rabbi say we have easier sugyas Baruch Hashem, or for some of us Baruch Hashem, some of us Chaval, they love the hard stuff. But we're on the tail end of the Sikrikoin. Sikrikoin is when a non-Jew puts a gun to somebody's head and says he's going to kill him, and the guy says, the Jew says, okay, but so take my property, please don't kill me. Oh, I'm supposed to do this. Let's see if that works. We're holding all the way in the bottom of Amud Beis, and we're talking about Sikrikoin. So the non-Jew puts a gun to the Jew's head, the Jew gives him his property, and Rebbe said that Nimnu v'gamru. Nimnu, they made a count, they took the Chachamim, they put them in a room, and they took a vote. And they decided that after 12 months, if the original owner doesn't come back to repurchase his property, take care of things, then whoever purchases it, it's his, provided that he gives 25% to the original owner. Amar Rav. Who's this? Rebbe. Rebbe, the one who wrote the Mishnah, Nimnu v'gamru. Amar Rav. Ano avoy b'binyana debei Rebbe. So we say throughout Shas, Rav Tanuhu Poli. Rav was the Talmud of Rebbe. What's fascinating is Rav was the Golad Dor in Bavel. Over here we see that Rebbe had Talmidim that were greater than him. I was part of the count. And they started with me. I was the first one in the count. So let's say they had 71 people there, however many they had, Sanhedrin, Chachamim. They started with Rav. So, says the Gemara, anytime you have a monetary dispute and you have something, a question about Tum and Tahara, about Tumois, Matchilim and Agadol. You always start from the greatest one, and over here we're talking about what? Dinim Mominus. So we should start from the greatest one. And Rav is not the greatest. Perhaps he was the least of the Talmidim, maybe in the middle. When it comes to Dina Nefashas, capital punishments, then you start from the lowest one, from the smallest one. Because Rashi brings this pasuk, you shouldn't answer to a fight. You can read it, it doesn't have nekudas. You can read the Riv as Rav. You should not answer to your Rav, to somebody that's greater than you. So Memela, once the person who's greater than you says his opinion that this person shall die, nobody can overturn it, and that's a problem. You want to have the ability that somebody could come along and overturn it. I mentioned the other day when we were talking about, I forgot his name. One of these names, he was an Ambenson. So they said, it said in the Gemara, he was because he was patient and he didn't kill Kamtza, right in the sugi of Kamtza or Kamtza. That's why there was a Churban. So some explained that he was an Ambenson. He thought he was the least of everybody. When they said, should we kill Kamtza? He stood up and he said, I'm the lowest Talmud. No, don't kill him. But then once he said no, then nobody could argue with him because it says in the pasuk, because he's an Amveson, he was actually the greatest, but he thought he was the lowest. That's one shot. Okay. Omer Rabbi Rava says Rabbi Rava, Rabbi the son of Rava. Vitema Rabbi Hill Rabbi Valas. Shanim Yonah de Rebbe. The Kulam Yonayu Menatzad Havam Rebbe argued in this part. The way to read the pasuk is that this is talking about dinei nefashos, but in dinei maminas, when it comes to monetary arguments, it's different. In other words, dinei nefashos you start from the lowest, and dinei maminas you start from the highest. But Rebbe argues, he says this whole pasuk is talking about nefashos and maminas. Everything you always start from the lowest, and that's why they started from Rav. Oh, another thing from Rabbi Rebbe Rava. We say, Rabbi Hill Rebbe Rebbe Valas. I have a hard time with this sugi because it seems like it's different than everything I ever learned. Torah Gedula to me always meant that there's never a person like Moshe Rabbeinu who had wealth and Torah all embodied in one. Rashi seems to learn slightly different, that it was authority over others. Okay, I'm still going with my pshat. Because it's also Rashi's pshat in other places, but it's okay. You can do it with both. Moshe ad Rebbe. From Moshe Rabbeinu until Rebbe, that entire period of time, there's no one who encompassed both of these things, Torah and Gedula. Yeshua was also the leader of Klal Yisrael and also the greatest learner. Says Gemara, yeah, but have Elazar, his son Elazar, was also great in learning. He had both actually. He's also a leader. Elazar. But at the end of the day, when Yeshua was nifter, Elazar was all by himself. So he had Torah and Gedula b'makim echad. Says Gemara, have a Pinchas. Pinchas had Torah while Elazar was alive. So Mela, he wasn't by himself in that category. Have a Pinchas. But after Elazar died, you had Pinchas who had Torah and Gedula. So Gemara have Uskenim, but when Pinchas is alive, you had Skenim. Have a Shaul. Shaul had Torah Gedula. He's a tremendous gadol in Torah. So Gemara have a Shmuel. He wasn't by himself. There was Shmuel. What did Shmuel have? Shmuel had Torah. But Shmuel was lifted. We're talking about from the time nobody interrupted him. That entire period when he became a gadol, he's also had Torah. Says Gemara of David. David had Torah and Gedula. Says Gemara, Iri was even greater than David in Torah. Says Gemara, but he's nifter. So of course there are those who are going to explain. The Gemara already said that you need all his whole entire life. So why does the Gemara keep on asking the same question? Okay, each one is a chiddush probably. Shlomo, what about David HaMelech's son? So what's the obvious answer? No. Shimon ben Gera. Shimon ben Gera had Torah. What was the story of Shimon ben Gera? Hakatli. So Shimon ben Gera is the one who cursed David HaMelech, and David HaMelech promised that he's not going to take revenge or kill him, but he told Shlomo HaMelech Hasei k'chachmascha. And every time you mention Shimon ben Gera, you have to mention the famous Chaim Shmulevitz. How did Shlomo HaMelech kill Shimon ben Gera? Yeah, it was Shimon ben Gera. Yeah? He told him, do not leave Yerushalayim. And if you leave Yerushalayim, I'll kill you. So what does a normal person do? Doesn't leave Yerushalayim. But Shimon ben Gera, one day his sheep ran away. He went and he chased the sheep. What's pshat? Well, he knew he was going to die. So the answer is, it's Teva Adam. Happens to be like, just yesterday, my daughter was telling me that she doesn't understand her son, 3-year-old son. She puts him to sleep for a nap, and he puts up a big fight. She goes, I wish somebody would put me to sleep for a nap. I wish. So I said, no. You wish you took a nap, but not if somebody put you to sleep for a nap. Somebody decided at 2:35 that you're going in for a nap. You'd say, absolutely not. It has to be 2:40 to 3 o'clock. Well, you're going to decide when I go in for a nap. When you lose your independence, it's the worst thing. That's what happens in jail. Just that idea that you're not in control of yourself, and you have to listen to somebody else to go here, to go there. That is the worst. So when Shlomo HaMelech told him you can't leave Yerushalayim, a regular person doesn't have to leave Yerushalayim. No, so you don't leave Yerushalayim. No, but if you tell me I can't leave Yerushalayim, I am going to leave Yerushalayim. That Shlomo HaMelech knew that's human nature, and eventually he fell for it and he died because of that. Again, his entire life, his entire time that he was a gadol, he had to be all by himself. Torah and Gedula. We said that. Says Gemara have a Shevna. This is very interesting. Rashi here says that Shevna had, I think he's saying that he had 1.3 million Talmidim. Maybe he's saying he had 130,000. But he had a ton of Talmidim, Shevna. At least 130,000, maybe even 1.3 million, because it says Revasa. So just to remember that, oh, you know what? I'm going to start using my phone here. The kids here, the bottom line is that Shevna, with all his Torah and everything, the Gemara calls him a Rasha. He did some terrible stuff. Taisa says, certain places, Taisa says he can't even say his name. Upon him, oh, yeah, that would help. Yeah. Any light over here would help. The large words, I'm not having issues in my own handwriting. Okay. But there's Shevna. Says Gemara Yiktil. He was killed. Yiktil. Kulu Shnei Karminon. Oh, thank you. I don't know if it's better. Yeah, it is better for sure. Says Gemara, "V'hava Ezra, Avinachem b'chachalia, Omer Avachem Rei Derova, Afanyomer b'Mois Rebbe Bad Rav Ashi." So now he adds. He says, "Listen, you said from Moshe Rabbeinu to Rebbe. I'm saying from Rebbe, who wrote the Mishnah. He's the last Tana all the way to Rav Ashi, who's the last Amoyer who finished off the Gemara. Bavli loy motzinu torah ugdula b'makom echad. Rav Ashi had torah ugdula. V'loy v'hava Yehuda Parnassa and his Talmud, Rav Ashi's Talmud, also had torah ugdula. Shani Yehuda Parnassa, the maker of Avikayvli, the Rav Ashi, he was subordinate to Rav Ashi, so he doesn't count as gdula." Says the Eli Stefansky, sponsored by the Friedman, Nishmas, my dear father, his dear father, Chaim from Shalom, Yerucham ben Yisrael David. Cheresh roimez v'nirmaz. A cheresh can, let's see, yeah, we have it here. A cheresh could do remiza. Remiza is sign language, or nod with his head, to accomplish many different kinyanim, different things. Get married like that, he could get divorced like that, with remiza. So every time we say we do this, this kind of thing, but especially when we talk about sign language, what comes to mind, unfortunately, I wish I had this video, is the signer at Nelson Mandela's funeral. So you all know, he wasn't a signer. Like a guy, they hired a guy to do the entire funeral, and he was just a regular guy in the street who's pretending. He's on TV live in front of 20 million people. Happens to be, I do have it here, and I want to show it to you. Here we go.
God of the spirits of all flesh.
You have to hear the volume. It's much better than the volume.
Of the living and the dead, receive, we beseech in your great loving kindness.
Only in South Africa.
Mandela, who has been gathered unto his people.
He has the same move every time. He goes like this.
For the righteousness.
He's making it up on the spot.
Remember, O Lord.
Okay. So, anyways, if somebody did these kind of signs,
Servant Joseph,
who's that? Lord Johnson? Oh, that's somebody famous, no? Oh, yeah. Chief Rabbi of South Africa. It sounded like a very nice husband, whatever you were saying over there. Yosef and this and that. All right. So, anyways, cheresh. If a cheresh does whatever like this, like you and me, I don't know, like we're divorced. Shalom Yisrael, they're divorced. Whatever the sign is. Uben b'seiro oimer koifet v'nikbatz b'metaltalin. Now, there's a lesser madrega according to this, which is wording it with your mouth, mouthing it. You are divorced. Like just doing it with your mouth, but no sound comes out. That only works by metaltalin. There was a beautiful story that I heard from Reb Bitterman. I thought it was a Givaldik and Musar Haskell. It's like the first time I heard it, okay, and then I thought about it again, it got even better. There was a guy in Bnei Brak, I forgot his name, I think like Moshe Ben Eliza, something like that, that he was completely paralyzed, his entire body, he couldn't speak, and he did a couple of like motions with his fingers, and that was it. Everybody's a famous guy, supposedly, and he was always happy. So I think his father, somebody once asked him, "Why? How are you so happy? Like, what do you have to be happy?" And he said this is very, very important. He said, if everybody in the world was like me, so I wouldn't be missing anything. We were all the same. So I'd be very happy. I'm alive, and everybody's like me. The only reason why I shouldn't be happy is because I'm comparing myself to somebody else. So you don't compare yourself to anybody else. You have to be happy with what you have. when you're compared to somebody else. And then I thought about it, like, yeah, if we think about it, we also have our limitations. We are nothing. If we lived in another generation, let's say, with a bunch of geniuses, and they were much smarter, like these 2.5-year-olds are answering back and forth, then we'd feel very bad about ourselves. But we just look around and everybody's as dumb as us. I'm like, wow, we're pretty good, you know? So it's all relative, and what you are. If everybody, I don't know, if it's Stam Lahavdil, if everybody could dunk in basketball and then be Michael Jordan, you're not. So then, no, you say those are special people. They're over there. Those are the special guys. There are a few special people that could speak and could run around and walk, but most of us can't. We're Shalom, but like that's how we say. The whole world is limited in a wheelchair, and they can just do this and this and that. And that's what's beautiful about life. He took it like that. Stop comparing yourself to somebody else. So so that's the type. We're going to see in the Gemara a little bit more about these people that can't speak and can't hear. They're actually, and just to explain again, they are in halacha. They're considered a deaf mute, that is, who's not learned and has no ability, considered a shaita. Today it's a little different, even a deaf mute, but certainly just a deaf person is not. What about children? So, a young kid, we'll see that it's also, this is continuation of the parak. What parak are we in? Parak of Tikkun Olam. This is to save the world. You have children that need to buy, they need to sell, they're orphans. Well, if they can't buy and sell, how are they going to live? They're allowed. The whole machlokes is whether you can mouth words, if a chereshoy could do that. I mean, the cheresh. But when it comes to get, everybody holds, even Benreuven, you can't just mouth it, you have to do it with some sort of serious sign language. Pshita, says in the Mishnah, metaltalin only you can word, but not a get. Mouth the same after metaltalin. I would think that no, that wording is much better. And after metaltalin get for sure, but even metaltalin kamashma law. Some say the opposite. It look very different. The machlokes is metaltalin and in Gittin. That even in Gittin, Benreuven says that the husband who can't speak could just mouth it with his mouth and it works. Oh, but not metaltalin. So why does Mishnah use the word metaltalin? Then what? It goes like this. At the end of the day, when you get married in a certain way, if you can get married just by moving your mouth, so you can get divorced like that. And to remember it, and it's very similar to the concept of kiboyle kachpalta. If you could go into a marriage like that, you come out of the marriage like that. But it's only because they're going into a marriage like that because it's the Rabbana marriage. So they come out in the Rabbana marriage. For instance, if a person gets married when he's 100% sane, and he gets married, a real marriage, the Raisa marriage, and then he loses his mind, so he cannot get out of that marriage by wording it and by making things with his hands. Why? Because the Raisa marriage cannot get out and the Rabbana go away. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, Aputois. Memkar, you have the children, they could buy and sell. How will they have to be? Machvir of Yehuda Rabbi Yitzchok, bereit, short his son with his fingers. Kibar Shis, Kibar Shav. 6 or 7. Rav Kahana Omar, Kibar Shav, Kibar Tamni, 7 and 8. Bavasisa Tana, Kibar Teisha, Kibar Eser, 9, 10. Veloy Pli, 0 machlekes. Kochav Achad, Lefi Churfei, depends how sharp this kid is. Again, like with that story, not of Chana, B'Shivas Boneh, but whatever her name was, in that story that we said, in the Medrash it says that the kid was 2.5 years old. So 2.5-year-old that could answer a king that way and say, you should have covered, I should have covered. No, I'm not going to. So then he's a kid that could deal with this. But a regular kid, a kid that's not a chacham, a kid that on Purim you say, do you want this piece of chocolate that says $5 on it or a $100 bill? And they say, I want the chocolate. So that a kid like that can't have mekach umemkar. Has to be a kid that understands. Omar Rabba Bar Rav Yaakov, remember this name, Rabba Bar Yaakov Omar Rabbi Yochanan, only to remember it, not because it's important like that, but just because the next sugya is going to have him. You'll understand why a sugya flies out of left field. It has nothing to do with anything else in the sugya. Mishum Kidei Chayav, so that he can live. He can do business if he's an orphan. Says Gemara, So now we're talking about a pasuk that has nothing to do with anything, but it's only because it's the same Reb Abba Bar Yaakov Omer Reb Yochanan. It says, Bayoya, she said, give all these people that worship Avodah Zarah the Baal, give them a special clothing. Here he is. Give him special linen that you could roll it and it's expandable. What is this? So what he did, it reminds me that I saw this a few times here in Chicago. I think they do it all over America. Let's say these guys, they skip bail. Or all these, criminals. They don't have patience to run after these people and chase them down. So what do? You know what I'm talking about? They send them a letter. It says in the letter, hey, you just want a free TV. What?
Free this, free that.
Exactly. Free TV. Come pick up your free TV. So they come into this big building, and they see tons of people just coming for the free TVs. And then they lock the door and say, okay, you're all under arrest. Scratch for showing up. Thanks for saving us time. So that's what he did, basically. He gave all these guys, like these special clothing, Baal, and they couldn't go, they couldn't do it, they couldn't hide. Everybody knew, the guy with the green jumpsuit, or today it's the orange jumpsuit, he's a criminal, catch him, do something with him. Okay. There's a very wealthy Yid, his name was Bunoyim ben Bunoyim, the Rebbe. He sent him a gift. Sivni, B'choimes, Salsalo, and Malmalo. Sivni, B'choimes, B'amguza, Upalge, Damguza. It was the size. It was so thin, and it was so, imagine in those days, everything's by hand. It was so thin that it could fit into 1.5 nuts. That's how small it was. Imagine taking your towels that you wear in Shabbos, folding it up to 1.5 nuts worth. It's very, very, we can't do it. So it was a beggar that you could do that. Salsalo umalmalo. Kipistiko, palga de pistika. So for that, I go back to this. This is a pistika, acorn. In Hebrew, a pistika is a pistachio. But I don't know where they got it from. Okay, fine. Somebody was telling me, I don't think it's that funny, but he said, there's a special pistuk gemach in Eretz Yisrael for Shalom Zachars that if you have an original Shalom Zachar, you go to them and you get it, as long as you give it back to them once a Shabbos. But the trick is they give you only closed pistachios. That was a big joke. So you have 1,000 closed ones, you serve it, obviously nobody could eat them, and then you just, on Moshe Shabbos, you give them right back. Okay, but very interesting, I just wanted to point this out, that because Yoash was fought the Avodah Zarah like this, he was zeicha to 4 doros. He killed the family of Achav, he was zeicha to 4 doros of Melucha. But here's what's very interesting. At the end of his life, he fell to the trap of Avodah Zarah. And because he fell to the trap of Avodah Zarah, it's considered as if he killed the family of Achav. He was a murderer. Beginning, he was a big tzaddik, he killed the Avodah Zarah. Says the Chaim, a very, very interesting thing. If you're permitted to speak Lashon Hara about somebody, it's l'tayelas. Well, let's say, I don't know, it's a shidduch, something. You spoke Lashon Hara. You're allowed. Allah says you're allowed to speak Lashon Hara. But you fell for that trap. You're the same guy. You say, that guy is a ganav. He's a big ganav. Don't marry that person. He's a ganav. But you yourself are a ganav. So then you are a Lashon Hara. Even though it was l'tayelas and you're permitted Allah to speak it, but if you're in that trap, you fell for that trap, now it's considered Lashon Hara. Says the Gemara, it happens to be that in the Tshuvas HaGo'inim it says that this Nunyam, this wealthy guy, he actually put, they have these things today, like an egg, you buy this egg for a quarter. He actually put the whole talus in the nut shell, and that's how he gave it to Rebbe. It's not just a measurement, but that's how he delivered it. Tshuvas HaGo'inim. Says Gemara, what does it mean? Like we said before, you could roll it and you could, how you call it? It expands. Does a small child, when he does business, does he have the same kind of aina and mistake that an adult has? The halacha by an adult is that if you get charged, or you charge 1/6 more than its value, If it's exactly a sixth, then it's a good sale, but you have to return the sixth. But if it's slightly over a sixth, then the sale is not a sale. Does that apply to a small child as well? Achdus kigadol, yes, same halacha. What about a gift that he gives? Now Rashi says, very interesting, that sometimes a gift is part of his dealing. Yeah? I'm sure you guys in the nursing homes and then doctors, we all get gifts, right? It's part of business. You receive a gift, now you have to give back to that guy whatever it is. You want to do business. So the child also wants to do it. It's not just he's giving a bar mitzvah gift, or he wants to do business with a gift. Could a gift work? It doesn't work. So the son of Rav Ashi, again, who's Rav Ashi? The one who wrote the Gemara. His son says it's a good gift. Says the Gemara, by mistake, they flipped the shitas. They said the Rav Ashi said it's not a good matana. When I learned it, in Baruch Hashem, I found the Marim Shift that says that's how I thought, but Pashas. But I was told not like that. It's not the pshat. But today I found the Marim Shift says, maybe I knew about the other day. Marim Shift says that it means they try to trick him. They want to see if he's going to be biased. So they sent Rav Mordechai. Rav Mordechai was a big Talmud of Rav Ashi. And they wanted to see if he agrees that Rav Ashi said it is matana. So what do they do? How do you fool him? You say, oh, we heard that your Rebbe said it's not a matana. Now, if he jumps up and down, he says, you know what you're talking about, then we know it's legit. Says the Gemara, tell my master's son, in other words, Rav Ashi's son, that's not what happened. This is incredible. He's saying over, I remember exactly where your father was. He was on the ladder, 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot climbing the ladder, and that's exactly where he was and how he said it. And he said, and I asked him, what's with the gift of a small child? It is a matana. Don't try to fool me that he said it's not a matana. Now, I think I heard about Rabbi Yosef. You can see in the pictures, he had a big, tremendous library with a ladder. Supposedly, he was on a ladder once and he got so involved in his learning and then he just took a step off the ladder or something. Or they say it about different people. I don't know. Are you saying yes? It's a story about Rabbi Yosef. Fine. You're Sephardi, you know. But, right? You're Sephardi? Yeah. But I heard another Maaser. This could be a Maaser Shematoya. There was a Rav that fell off the ladder and he said, this is not Rabbi Yosef. It's not. He said, from now on, I'm not going to learn Iyun anymore on the ladder. From now on, it's only Bikiyah, something I can concentrate on, something I don't have to. Okay. Says the Gemara, doesn't matter if the guy is sick or alive, well, whether it's a very expensive gift, it doesn't matter. Okay? Says the Eli Mishnah. Sponsored by Eli Friedman, Nishmas is their father, Chaim Shalom Yerucha ben Yisrael Dov. Interesting, because we just finished the sugya of Kamsa Bar Kamsa about why the Churban bies happened. One of the worst stories ever, much worse than Bar Kamsa, I think, is the story over there. What's the guy's name? I forgot his name already. But the one that, the apprentice of the carpenter. I mean, it's one of the worst stories ever. He steals the guy's wife, then he makes the guy work for him and his wife. It's what?
He becomes his slave, he reverses the whole situation.
The worst midas ever. I believe the Mishnah is a continuation, sort of. You could say, this brings peace to the world. It's a continuation of Tikkun Olam, but it's Darkei Shalom, peace. Okay, the Beis HaMikdash was nechrav because of bad midas and ben adam chaveroi, but what can you do to fix it? We're very familiar with this halacha, koyin koyin rishon, so in order that there shouldn't be any fights, aliyas and shul, we all know about all the stories of the aliyas and shul, koyin koyin rishon, v'achrav levi, and afterwards the levi, v'achrav Yisrael, koyin levi Yisrael. Mipnei darkei shalom, it prevents a lot of fighting. Stop fighting in shul is, the famous, first of all, we have to say the famous Chavetz Chaim, even though we said it many times, it's good to say it again over here. A guy comes to shul, he's a guest in town, he comes to shul, and he sees the guy gives this guy aliyah, that guy aliyah. So he comes over to the guy afterwards and says, I don't understand. Why don't you give this guy aliyah? He looks much more chashiv, and give that guy aliyah, this guy aliyah. So the guy says, you're an idiot. You just showed up this week to Shalom. You're asking all these questions. That guy got an aliyah last week. This guy has yard time. This guy that. He just got back from a trip. What are you even opening your mouth? Like, who are you to ask the question? What's the Nimshal? The Nimshal is us. We're new in this world. We just showed up here 50 years ago, 40 years ago. We have all these kashas. Why did this guy die? I don't understand. Why did he die? It doesn't make any sense. And why did this happen? And why did he lose his money? When you show up now, you don't know anything, so you have kashas. When you know the whole history of the world and who's who and where everything fits in, this guy did this. He stole money from him, so he gave it back to him later. Everything has a pshat. You just stop asking questions when you knew. Okay. Zog the Gemara, says the Mishnah. Ma'arvim bies yoshan. So this is an Eruv, Rabbi Isai. In those days, the house would open up into a courtyard, into a chatzar, into a front yard. And many houses would open up into this yard. Now, the Rabbanan, you're not allowed to carry in that grassy area at all. So what do? You put an Eruv in the house, meaning everybody, all the houses, they participate in purchasing this loaf of bread, whatever it is, and they put it in somebody's house. It's as if they all live, they're all shutfim now. They all live in that house, they're all part of it. So Mela, or they all live in the chatzar. If they always put it in that one doorway, that one house with the red arrow, so every week they should put it in that place with the red arrow. Why? Otherwise, it could be a problem of dark Shalom. People are going to say, oh, look, he stopped using the Eruv. He doesn't have an Eruv. He doesn't do. So people shouldn't talk. You put it in the same place. Daf Yomi, Amud Beis. Oh, I guess somebody's doing it for me because I wasn't doing it. We got to move here. We're going late. Borshu Karav La'ama Mismala Rishon. So, let's see. Okay. Yoshi did this today. Here you have a river that goes down. And basically the guy is creating a dam. He's the first field. He stops the water in the river. He fills up his cistern. He fills up his little thing of water. And then it continues down further. But the first guy, because nobody really owns the water, but what do you do if there's a fight about the water? Is this better? Okay. So what do you do if there's a fight? It's not a fight. So it goes, the first guy, the guy that's upstream, he gets to close off the water first. Again, if somebody traps an animal or a fish in his trap, if you go into the trap and you steal it, you're a gada. Just want to show you real quickly. There's two types of traps, as Gemara is going to explain. There's a trap that's like a box, and over here it's a raccoon, and sponsor. Okay, good. We'll get there in a second. So when the raccoon is inside a box, then that's not a shiloh that you're a gada. Why? Because the box is your like chatzar. It's kind of. But if the raccoon is trapped by a device that just grabs his arm, that's what we're talking about. Because there's no kinyan chatzar here. You just grab them with a string, with something else. That is what we're talking about. And the Mishnah says it's gezel, but only because of darki shalom for peace. Rabbi Yosef gezel gomor, he doesn't argue that it's only the rabbanan, but they made it into a complete gezel. Metzias cher shoy the let's get off this picture. It's not so nice. When a katan, let's say, finds an item in the street, you can't say, oh, you're a katan, you didn't acquire, let me take it from you. They shouldn't be fighting. It's complete gezel again, not the Eraisa, but we made a gezel gomer. The Gemara is going to explain what that is. Here's a picture. So, guys on top of the tree, shaking this tree. He didn't actually pick up the zayis. Whatever falls underneath is gezel. He didn't acquire it. He didn't do kinyan hagba. It's gezel b'nei darkei shalom. Gezel gomer again. If a non-Jew comes in to eat some of the leket chikropeya, we have pictures, of course. Famous leket chikropeya. I'll just go over quickly. When you see it, you don't have to like really. So if a person has a field and he drops a couple of his stalks, he shouldn't pick it up. That's leket. Shikha is, what's going on here? Okay. Shikha is when you forget an entire bundle, you leave it there for the poor person, and peya is the corner of the field. The payas, okay. Fine. So says the Gemara says like this: if a guy comes and starts taking your stalks, it's really for the Jew, and you feel bad that he's taking it. You shouldn't say anything because of Darkei Shalom. So I have to tell you the story. It happened here in Chicago. I don't know when the last time I said it. Maybe not so long ago, but who knows? Maybe last week. My father-in-law, Dr. Friedman, he does this thing called Hidden Gems here in Chicago. You know, it's to raise money for his son's yeshiva and other tzedakah organizations that he has, whatever. So we go to one of his hotels, and he does this whole thing on Thanksgiving. When there's no business, they close down the kitchen, they turn into kosher. Good times. Now, if you spend a certain amount of money or whatever, you get to stay overnight. Stay overnight, and he does a big breakfast. He's doing this big breakfast. And at the same time, there's a convention for, I mentioned this, there's a convention for Arabs, for Palestinians, because they're the only people that don't really celebrate things. So they're in the hotel. All of a sudden, in comes one of our cousins into the breakfast and starts taking pancakes, loads up, a whole plate, pancakes, yeah, this, that, the whole thing. So my cousin walks over and says, listen, I'm sorry, but, it's like a private party, if you don't mind, like, so, oh, sorry, puts the stuff down and leaves. And my wife's uncle sees this. He said, what just happened? She says, look, I saw somebody. He's not part of it. She says, you know what? Make a kiddush Hashem. Tell him he could come back. So she goes over to him. She says, the host said, it's okay if you, oh, okay, thank you. He comes back, piles up again. And now we're all staring at him. He sits down at the table, sits down, and all of a sudden he puts his hand in his pocket, pulls out a yarmulke, puts on his head, and makes a bracha. So we thought, it's aniyah. We thought it's the aniyim of the nachrim. It wasn't the nachri. It turns out it was a yid that was stuck in O'Hare. He claims that he was an Israeli, that they wouldn't allow him to travel further. But I thought that maybe he's from the Mossad because there was he fit right into the other group, and just spot whatever. That was my little theory. Anyway, Zog to Gemara. But not immediately. How do you know that a kohen goes before a Levi? You hear? Benzi, kohen goes before Levi. How do you know this whole sugya? It's right here. She gives to the kohen, the kids of the sons of the Levi. And of course, all kohanim are the sons of Levi. Why does the Torah have to say it? Pasuk is coming to tell us that a kohen goes first, and afterwards the Levi. 3 ways. We know that. Great. Another pshat. You should make him kadosh, the kohen kadosh, everything. That you give the kohen, he should be kadosh in everything that has to do with kedusha. He makes the first bracha of a little manayah for Risha, and he gets the best. Did anybody ever do that for you? Take the first food anywhere, wherever you go. Only about Yosef and Shalom. You just said that a kohen goes before Levi because of Darkei Shalom. It's not the Darkei Shalom. It's not to make peace. It says in the Torah, you should go first. Where was this? Did I miss something? Just in case. What?
Just get the first rice.
No, I wasn't saying that. In terms of so just in case it doesn't come up later, in that when you split something with a kohen, so you do the splitting, and then the kohen gets to choose which piece he wants. Which like you break the matzah, you choose which one is the larger one, or whatever. So the kohen gets to do that. Says Gemara, the entire Torah is also for peace. This is very important to remember, that Torah and Yiddishkeit is all about peace. And if you ever think that Torah is about fighting and then hitting and being violent, the ways of the Torah are in a pleasant way, and its path, Shalom. It's always Shalom. Just want to point out a Rambam. This is the last halacha in Hilchas Chanukah. You can look it up. Rambam, Hilchas Megillah v'Chanukah, Perek Dal, halacha Yudal. The Rambam says, listen, it's an incredible Rambam. Gadol HaShalom, Shalom, peace, is so great. Shekol HaTorah Nitna, the entire Torah is given, Lasi Shalom Ba'olam, to make peace in the world. The entire Torah was given for peace. It's our Gemara basically. But he says that is the whole, not that everything in the Torah has to be peace. It was given for peace. That's the tachlis of the Torah. That's the goal of the Torah, to be in peace. So Yoshi did a piece of art here. That if you have two people eating from one plate, here you go, you worked very hard on this, so enjoy it. Two guys eating from one plate, and one guy sits up for a second to take a drink. The other guy should also. You have to wait for the other guy. Shloisha, but if three people are eating from one plate, then they don't have to. The guy that breaks the bread, cuts the challah first, he gets to dip his challah into the hummus first. Yeah, it says in Rashi, laugh it. In this situation, you want to be nice to your Rebbe. You're a Kohen, you want to be nice to your Rebbe. Or somebody's greater than him. Or just be other, even though you're a Kohen, you can do it. That's only in a meal that you can be nice to your Rebbe. Let's say your Rav comes to your shul, and he's a Yisrael, and you want to honor him with the first Aliyah. You can't do that. Why? You'll come to fight. There's a famous Maaser that there's a big fight in a shul. You say over Rachamin this Shabbos. Mom, it's a big fight. They're fighting, all of a sudden they start throwing cheers at each other. They're beating each other up. So they went over to this elderly guy in Lakewood. You know what you do when you have a big Shiloh? If there's over Rachamin, go to Marty Dauer. Marty Dauer tells you, right? He knows all the halachas of the shul inside out. So they went to the zaken of the shul, and they said, "What's the minhag in the shul?" So he said, "What? Tell me what happened. What did they do?" So he said, "Oh, we did a big fight and throwing cheers." He says, "Oh, that's the minhag. That's the minhag. To throw the cheers, the Makai in the minhag. Very good." So Zokti Gemara, because people are going to fight. Like the guy's going to say, "Do you know who I am? You understand how choshev I am? And you gave me this little aliyah." I just remembered another Maaser. Happened in our shul. Guy comes to our shul, Kimat Hoya. Comes to our shul, he said, we give him a aliyah, he gets a revi. So he tells the guy, he says, "You know, where I come from, you know they give revi to? No, who? The losers." So the guy says, "In our shul also." Nothing in Mara. Amar Rav Masna, Hod Aaron Beis HaKnesses Lo, Amar Shabbos V'Yom Tov. The Shchichi Rabbi. You can't give an aliyah to your Rav, to the guy that you think is chashav, to your Rebbe, to whoever, to your father, instead of a Kohen. That's on Shabbos, there's a lot of people. But on Monday and Thursdays, loy. So Taisus is very important, this Taisus. Second Taisus from the top. That's in those days. People, it started then, 2,000 years ago. People were too busy to go to shul because they were busy working. But in our generation, there's so many people in a shul on a weekday, just like a yontiv, then the same halacha applies. No difference between Shabbos and Monday. When Rav Kahana came to shul, they gave him kohen, and he was a Yisrael. Shani Rav Huna, well, he's the greatest of the great. I feel Rabami Ravasi. Kahana Chashiv there is Yisrael. Even Ravami Ravasi, who Kohanim, they were very chashiv. We know Ravami Ravasi all over Shas. They would be subordinate to Rav Huna. So what about a Govadar? So in truth, halacha, somebody like Rabbi Yashiv walks into the shul, you should be able to give him kayin. But we're not knowing like that. Although I asked Sfardim and they told me that in their shuls, it depends who, I guess. I'm not passing for Sfardim. I just heard this. I never saw this with my own eyes. That Sfardim are not so makban on kayin. If somebody choshev, they do give the kayin to Yisrael. Says the Gemara, if there's no kayin, then everything breaks up. In other words, you don't give the Levi the next thing. You just give the next. If no kayin, you give it to the Yisrael. The two pshatim in Rashi. Either, okay, fine. Naktinon, ain't sham Levi, kayin. And if there's no Levi, what do? You give it to kayin. So the Gemara understands that you give it to one kayin, you give kayin to one kayin, and you give Levi to another kayin. Rabbi Yochanan says that you shouldn't give a kayin after another kayin because they're going to say, you know why you gave the second kayin? Because the first kayin is no good. He's a chalal or whatever. But two Leviim, you shouldn't give a Levi, and then another Levi the next aliyah. Why? Because you're going to say both of them aren't good. And that's what we do today. That what? You give a guy kayin. And if there's no Levi, enkan Levi, Yamai bimkaim Levi. So Levi once said, by his bar mitzvah, he said, this is the last time in my life that I'm going to see a kayin get two aliyahs one after another. Because as long as he's bar mitzvah, and I guess he's available for the aliyah, maybe he's holding somewhere else, you won't be able to. Interesting shaila, that what happens if a kayin, you hear this, Benzi? If a kayin buys an aliyah in shul, he buys kayin for $100, and then there's no Levi, so they give him another aliyah. Does he have to pay $200? You say no, right? It makes sense, no. So somebody wanted to bring a raya. The Mordechai said, the paskin, that a guy came to a city, true story, a guy comes to the city, and they asked him, what's your name? He says, my name is Yankel Cohen. His name was really Yankel Pfefferkorn, but he said his name is Yankel Cohen. So they gave him aliyahs and everything and this and that, and then they found out that he's a liar. So the Benreuven gave him, told him, take off your shirt, I'm giving you malchus. He beat him up a little bit. He said, you stole from the Kohanim. Then he called him back to Bezdin, and he says, listen, take off your shirt again. You also stole from the Leviim, because a lot of times there's no Levi, and you took two aliyahs. So, I don't want to say which Rav said it, because I don't agree with it so much. He said, so comes out that he paid twice. He got two malchus. So he has to pay for two aliyahs. But obviously, there's no tushto, because over there, you got a punishment. Over here, he didn't know that there's a Levi. Over there, he did it on purpose. Okay, fine. I'm just throwing it out there, of course. Something interesting, you got to know about it. Kikar minam boisikayin. Maisha says, just real quickly, we're going to finish up. Maisha Levi, Acha Levi, what is the difference between a kain and a Levi? When two kohanim have aliyah one after another, you say, oh, that means the first kain wasn't good. But when two Levim have aliyah one after another, you say both Levim are not good. What's pshat? Damri chaminai lehavu, lav Levihu. You're saying because one of them is not Levi, so kain acha kain, ami chaminai lav kainu. Maybe the second one is also not a kain. So the Gemara, no, you must say, and this is just a chak, I'm going to immediately say it's not good. You must say that the second one, we know for a fact is a kain. We know his father. So, so you have to say the same exact situation by the Levi. So what's the difference between a kain and a Levi? How come you passing both Levi and not both Kohanim? Because the pshat is that this Levi, he married a mamzeres. So therefore, his child is considered what? A Yisrael. A apostle Levi is like Yisrael. He gets an aliyah like Yisrael. I love saying this. I hope he listens to the shir all the time. So, but I have a very, very good friend who is apostle. He's a kain apostle because his mother wasn't from whatever. So he gets Yisrael all the time. And it becomes very awkward when his father shows up for Shabbos and his father gets kain and he gets Yisrael and people start asking questions. He's a very, very cool, famous guy. And that's just the situation. Says the Gemara. So what happened was, so this is say the same situation by a kain. Maybe he married a grusha and therefore his kid is no longer a kain. He's like Yisrael. Says Gemara, yeah. So Levi Miko have it. If he's the son of a kohen, then and he gets the second aliyah, then we know that he's good. He didn't get Yisrael; he got the second aliyah. But if a Levi who starts off at the second aliyah and he gets if a kohen gets the first aliyah, he's a kohen, gets the first aliyah. If his son gets the second aliyah, then we have a problem. Then it's a Levi. If a Levi starts by the second aliyah and his son gets Yisrael, then we know that he's possible. Says Gemara, Soif, Levi Miko Havi. And who's deciding if possible, not possible? Who's the problem here? Says Gemara, who's gonna talk about this? Eli Yishrim, if it's the people that are in shul from beginning to end, they see that they count this as Rashi, they count 7 aliyahs, and they see that they count this kohen as one of the 7, so he's a good kohen. Obviously, we're talking about the people who are not there the entire time. They're the ones that are going to talk and make rumors about this guy, and therefore we say that a kohen shouldn't have a liyah after a kohen. Rabboisai, have a wonderful day for the most of the month that I'm going to be here. The shir is at 7:30 at night during the week. Friday at 2:30. Motzi Shabbos at 10:30. Bring your friends.